we're looking at writing equations given 2 points. So we need to recall that point slope form of an equation is this: y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m is the what? The slope. Okay, now if you don't know the slope, you're going to use slope formula to find it. So you're going to, slope formula is that, remember, I think I said this in the first day, remember that delta symbol means change. So it's the change in y over the change in x. Okay, so it's just the difference in y's over the difference in x's. Then, so if you have 2 points, that's going to be the first thing that you do, is you're going to find your m, find your slope. Then you're going to take your points that you actually know 2 points. So it doesn't matter which one you use. The formula uses x1, y1. So you're going to take one of those ordered pairs and plug it in here. If you choose to use x2 and y2, like if those are easier numbers, that's fine. It doesn't matter which point you use. If you're given 2 points, you use both of them to find slope, and then you use that slope and one of those 2 points, whichever one you want, and you plug into point slope form. Then depending on how it asks the question, you may need to then convert point slope back to slope intercept form. Okay, so you're going to plug your 2 numbers into slope formula, substitute slope and either of the points. Okay, and then if you need to solve for y, solve for y. Everybody good with that? Yes. Okay, so here are my 2 points. You can label them if you need to. Some of you prefer to, some of you don't. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to find my slope by doing the change in y over the change in x. So it doesn't matter which one goes first. I could do 5 minus 0 or 0 minus 5, as long as then I'm consistent on the bottom with the order I put my x's. Okay, so I think y'all are used to just doing the second point first. So 5 minus 0 on top, and then 1 minus -4 on bottom. So I'm finding slope by taking x1 and y1 and x2 and y2 and plugging them in here. So far, so good? Okay, so that is 5 over 5, which is 1. So my slope is 1. So now I'm going to take that slope and either one of those points, and I'm going to plug in to point slope form. Okay, so which point do y'all want to use? 1, 5? Yes. Okay. So the x is 1, the y is 5. See, it didn't matter which one I used. Okay, so then I'm going to simplify. No signs to simplify. Normally I have to distribute my m, my slope, but my slope is 1. It doesn't really require distribution, does it? Okay, 1 times anything is itself, so this is just going to be y minus 5 equals x minus 1. And then I move the 5 over by addition. And I have my equation. So far, so good? All right, then let's do it with number 2. Same idea. Okay, my slope will be my change in y over my change in x. So if I go 3 minus 4 over -4 minus 5, I get -1 over -9. So that's just +1/9, right? So then I'm going to take that value, that's my slope, and I'm going to plug it in. Which ordered pair do you want to use this time? Okay, just keep it with the positives. It's a good idea. Okay, so we're going to plug in the 5 and 4 here and here, a slope here. So my slope was 1/9, my y is 4, and my x is 5. So then if I need to adjust or simplify any signs, then I do that. This one doesn't. And when I say simplify signs, I mean if you end up with like minus a negative, you would change it, simplify it to a plus. Okay, so here I need to distribute my 1/9. Remember when you are multiplying fractions, okay, so that you have a fraction times a integer. You just multiply by the numerator. Multiply that integer by the numerator. So 1 times 5 is just 5, and you keep your denominator. Okay, if you want to think of 5 as a fraction, 5/1, just know you're multiplying the tops, multiplying the numerators, and multiplying the denominators. Now, when you're adding or subtracting, how am I going to move this 4 over to the other side? I'm going to have to add that 4 over. And when I do that, I'm adding an integer and a coefficient. And that's different because it's not just go across the top and the bottom. I have to have a common denominator to add or subtract fractions. So how could I rewrite 4 in terms of ninths? How many ninths would it be? I heard somebody say something. Yeah, but I didn't hear what it was. 36/9. So I can replace the 4 with a 36/9 because isn't that 4? Okay, so I can change it so that it's in ninths as well. So then I've got -5 ninths plus 36 ninths. Okay, when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you just add or subtract across the top once you have that common denominator, and the denominator is going to stay. So what's 36 minus 5? 31. So I'm going to end up with 31, a positive 31 ninths. So I've got 1/9 x plus 31 ninths. Can we just do that? Yes, if you want to use a calculator, you can. I don't think you're going to have the graphing calculator on the test, but I think you should have the scientific. So you should still be able to add and subtract your fraction. So yeah, if you want to use Desmos to help you with adding and subtracting fractions, you can. Oh, you know what? It would help if I read more carefully because it says in point slope form. We did that already. That was here. So this is point slope form. So technically, in this problem, we could have stopped there. We wrote it in point slope form. So if they ask for slope intercept, then you do the solving for y. Okay, but in this actually doesn't tell us to do that. So I'm going to go back and box in the point slope form in number 1 as well, which would have just been here. You actually could have dropped the 1 and done this since the 1 doesn't do anything. But that's the point slope form. This is the slope intercept. So I'll just put a note here. If you need it in slope intercept form, that's what you do. Okay. But since this said point slope, we'll just stop there for the rest of these. We'll make these go a little bit quicker. Okay, so we're going to find our slope first. What is that reduced to? Positive or negative? Negative. Yeah, we've got a positive divided by negative, so that comes out negative. So -1/5 is my slope. So then I'm going to use that slope. And one of the points, which point do y'all want to use? Okay, so we're going to use the 5 and the 1 and plug in don't know why this is purple. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the slope is negative 1/5. The y is 1 and the x is 5. Can y'all please stop your side conversations? Thank you. Okay, if you need the highlighting, I'll add the highlighting. So we put our ordered pair here, our slope here. All right. Let's try these last few, and I'm pretty sure y'all have the hang of this, but let's practice to make sure. All right, so when I plug in here, my y's are -4 and -2. My x's are -4 and +4. So this becomes plus. The -4 plus 2 is -2. -4 minus 4 is -8. So that's going to reduce to +1/4. I'm going to go ahead and just do all these slopes. Okay, so my y's on 5 are -2 and -2. My x's are 0 and -1. So that comes out to 0 over 1, which is 0. Okay, here my x's are, or excuse me, my y's are -1, -5, and my x's are 3 and 3. So that comes out to 4 over 0, which is undefined. Okay, so we'll come back to those that got 0 and undefined in a sec. So now that we have our slopes, what point do you want to use for number 4? -2. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my y1 and x1 and my slope. So my slope was 1/4. And then my x is 4 and my y is -2. Now, I'm not just going to box that in because there is some simplifying I could do. Right here, I want to change that to a plus. So this would be y plus 2 equals 1/4 times x minus 4. And that is point slope form, so I can stop there. Now, 5 and 6 are special cases. What did we talk about? What type of line has a 0 slope? Horizontal. Okay, what type of line has an undefined slope? Vertical. Okay, a lot of people get these mixed up. So I need y'all to pay attention and make sure you understand why one is the other. So if we have a 0 slope, that is going to cross which axis? A horizontal line is going to cross the y-axis. So my equation is just going to be y equals, and then the y value at which it crosses. And it doesn't matter which of your points up here you use, because aren't the y's the same? Yeah, because it's a horizontal line at -2. Now, if you don't make the connection that, oh, slope's 0, it's a horizontal line, it's just y equals wherever it crosses, which is -2. If you don't make that connection, you could plug in to the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 and get the same thing. Okay, but if you understand these special cases, they go a little faster. Okay, so a vertical line is going to cross the x-axis, so it's x equals, and what is the x value of these points? 3. We feel okay about those? Okay, so I'm going to go activate your practice for today. If you have not finished yesterday, the 3.3, that's what you should do first because it is due today. If you did not finish 3.1 or 3.2, those are late, but the 3.1, today's the last day to turn it in for late credit. So if you haven't finished 3.1, you actually probably want to do that one first. Because this is your last chance to get that finished is today. Yes. Hang on.